Good afternoon. I hope everything's going well. Hope you're getting ready for a great weekend and hopefully you're getting ready for the holidays coming up. Just wanted to bring a few thoughts from his life devotional this week, wrapping up the thoughts of Jesus and his church. And we've been centered in on Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 through 19. But today is focused specifically on verse 18. But before we get into that, I want to read a quote from one of my favorite movies. Ratatouille is arguably one of the greatest Pixar movies ever made. Top three for sure. If you want to debate me on that, you can. But it's definitely up there. I love Ratatouille. And if you haven't seen it, it's about a guy who wants to be a chef and then a rat who's an amazing chef. And the guy stinks. And so they form this relationship. They cook these amazing dishes, and then they're faced with this critic, and he comes in and he's a really harsh critic, known for his strict judgments, and he sits down and they bring the the meal to him, and he loves it, and he's blown away by it, and it kind of changes his whole attitude. And then at the end of the movie, um, everything's good. They they change this guy's life. They get an amazing review. It's great. And then at the end of the movie, it pans out and it goes to the critic, and he has this quote at the end of the movie. And go ahead. It's a little bit long, but stick with me for just a little bit as I read this quote. He says, as it's panning out, it goes, "In many ways, the work of a critic is easy. We risk very little, yet enjoy a position over those who offer up their work and themselves to our judgment. We thrive on negative criticism, which is fun to write and read, but the bitter truth we critics must face is that in the grand scheme of things, the average piece of junk is probably more meaningful than our criticism designated it so. But there are times when a critic truly risks something, and that is in the discovery and defense of the new. The world is often unkind to new talent, new creations. The new needs friends. Not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere." And that's how the movie ends. It's great. Not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. And I couldn't help but think of that quote as I was reading this passage. So we have this confession by Peter, his amazing confession. And then in verse 18, Jesus responds and he says, "And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." And I can just imagine Peter in this moment, just how, if Jesus was saying that to me, how I would be like, "No, you got the wrong guy, right?" Maybe build it on John. He's a lot stronger than I am. Maybe build it on Andrew or Philip. They're much more. They're better at this than I am. It's just I would just have this sense of not me, right? And I think it's amazing how from this moment the disciples, Jesus' apostles, had no clue uh, what was going to happen in the future after Jesus' death. That in the wake of his death, so many people would come to know him and to worship him, and and it just reminds me of Ratatouille in so many ways of how uh, something insignificant. This quote that from Ratatouille about how something insignificant can make such a huge impact on the world, and and there's no doubt that people in Jesus' time saw his ministry, his life as insignificant. Um, there's no doubt uh, that, or maybe there's a little doubt. Um, it's possible that the apostles had no idea um, how significant their lives would be, empowered by God, of course, but um, how how much change and how much good they would bring to the world through Jesus, and it just constantly reminds me back to this idea of what God can do with even the weak. Um, he, I know often in my life I feel um, not confident. I feel weak. I feel insignificant so many times, and I think that's okay because ultimately I know, uh, even though I may not be the most significant or the most popular person in the world, I know that I serve a God who can use me to even bring one person to Him. Uh, then I would say that my life is complete. I would say I've it's been useful, even if no one knew my name, but I was able to bring one person to Jesus, and um, I would say, yeah, okay, use me in that way, and I hope we can have that attitude. I definitely don't have that attitude all the time, hardly ever, right? It's just against human nature, but this idea that even in our times when we feel insignificant, we feel small. Just remember what God can do with the small. Just think of the impact that Jesus' life has had. You can go pretty much anywhere in the world now and you mention the name of Jesus, and people know who you're talking about. They may have different feelings about what that name brings, but they know what that stands for and who he was. And and it all started from moments like this, from small conversations and lives changed in his life, and how that spread throughout the world. And as it mentions the work of the church, I can't help but think of our responsibility in that as well. Um, we have a responsibility to extend this story of Jesus to the people around us, and I hope that we can do that, even in our times when we don't feel like we're enough. Uh, Hopefully, we can remember that we serve a God who gives us strength to be able to not only carry ourselves throughout the day, but um, the strength to be able to do what needs to be done for His kingdom. So I hope we can live in a way that strives to serve and and love those next to us. Hope you have a great weekend, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.